Okay, hello Alejo, hello everyone.
How are you? Hi, everyone.
Hi, yes, honestly with you, I think you also learn the news. Our dearest
Yeah,
colleague, also the co-founder of AOA UK, Sue brother was passed away yesterday. And this is, it's a huge shocking and big loss of our community. Um, Sue is a very active astrologer in UK, and she's always been very nice to her students. I was told by her when I was studying Faculty of Astrology, she told me in Module 4, the transit, and I also remember, I think she told part of maybe midpoint or the harmonic technique. And she's been always been technique and very nice and very friendly. And that being unlike yesterday, I talked with our few of our friends. They all say, she was their tutor, so being very encouraged to them. As I know, she is the member of council for a astrological association in Great Britain, and
mm,
also the I think also secretary in astrology, London astrology. So for all UK's astrology community or the world astrology community is huge loss, and she's our dear friend. I mean, since 20, since 2015, we start to do a lot of a video together. So we kind of
hmm
see each other once a month to recording something. So this news is kind of shocking and have a little bit impact on me. So I mean, with your permission, I say today we want to pay our tribute to her, and she will be always be remembered by us. Do you
yeah.
have I think because you also a faculty tutor, so
Yeah, I've met her. I didn't have a lot of contact with her, to be honest. I did meet
mhm.
her. She she seemed very nice. The first article I read on the faculty material was written by her. It
Okay.
was called "Remember, I Am a Person," and it was
Wow.
about how to deliver the info. Like what you said, she was very nice with the students. It was about how to deliver the information that you find in the chart, and to make
Mm.
sure that you are careful on what you do and what you say, and not to be judgmental. It was a very good article, and it was the first article that I read from the
Yeah, that
faculty.
have a very important influence to us. She always remind us, we are a human being. Apart from, think about you're a human before you are astrologer, because be nice to your client, and that is a kind of spirit we have to remember. So thank you, Sue, and we will always remember you. Well, let's come to today's subject, because you even asked me, do I want to cancel today's podcast? Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
be
didn't know.
honest with you, it's a shock, but I think the show must go on. Best way to to
Honor
say
her.
we honor her is, to bring the astrology to our audience, to bring her mind and astrology to everyone else. She's a Gemini. So communication and the teaching being super important for Sue. So let's honor her today with this, Gemini session.
Yeah, very good. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. So today before we when we talk about when we discuss about what should we talk about this week? To be honest, because on Instagram we really don't want to the discussion for long, and sometimes there's some subject we already been talk for long time. So we just have to keep the subject very short, and we will talk about transit of this week, and that's most important. So one thing really, apart from Taiwan and the China tension, part from FBI right Trump again, there is something there, and which I think is more related to our society, is
Yeah,
about the opinion. If somebody hold different opinion, or if somebody apparently offend you or something, if you think they offend you, how we respond, because for since the my observation is since early last year, 2001, when we noticed that Saturn Uranus square, there is more and more tension about the public opinion when people hold a different view, when people have a different opinion. They kind of against each other with a very, very strong voice. And they're like, if you are not with me, you are my enemy. I mean, come on.
I think it also has to do with the nodes being in Gemini Sagittarius.
Yeah, at that time, yes.
I think it may have to do with this kind of, like what information we get, how do we trust the information we get, how much dogmatic we become with the information we have. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yes, I agree, because from that view, that is like because this axis, the nodal axis in Gemini and Sagittarius is about opinion. It's about how we handle the information. And then also the Uranus Saturn square is like it's kind of we have different things. So for example, the things happened last week. Last week was the very famous British American author Salman Rushdie. I hope I pronounced the right way, because you and me both not native English speaker, so forgive us. Okay, was stopped before when he was on the stage before when he gave a lecture in New York on the I think it's 12th of August, and that is kind of shocking news, because I think at the same time another famous writer, J.K. Rowling, when she commented about this news, then somebody replied her say, "You are the next."
Yeah.
This is a public threatening. Even you don't like people, somebody else say something, are you going to kill them by their words? I mean, to be honest, as a Gemini, moon in Gemini person, as I have a lot of planets in air sign, I really couldn't
understand it.
You know, I couldn't understand it. I mean, you offend me, I maybe argue with you, but
I mean, what you mentioned about the Saturn Uranus, right? So Saturn is order and structure and how things are supposed to be done, and Uranus is the breaking of that. If we go back to the mythology, they are natural enemies, right? Saturn overpowered Uranus, and he became the new lord, right? So I think it has to do with that, like how much freedom are we able to tolerate in our society, and how much we are not. So, for instance, with this Salman Rushdie or Rushdie, I'm not sure. We can clearly see how he was attacked for his opinion and how that's not right? But I don't know. In some other instances, I think we might take a different stance. So, for instance, what happens if there's a demonstration in the streets it's pro-Nazi, for instance? What do we think? Should we allow it or should we not allow it? Is it because that's a speed? Because like Salman Rushdie, for what I understand, I haven't read his books, but I read a few interviews to prepare for this. And for what I understand, I think he was somewhat sad that some leaders of Islam, because Islam is not just one thing, there are different versions of Islam. A version of Islam saw him as the enemy. Like I don't think he really was trying to criticize Islam in its core, And he was, I think, I feel like touched. Like this is not my intention to do that. So we can clearly see like, oh, how wrong this is for him, right? Because he's talking, and we see like. We try to stand on this place where we want to allow freedom of speech and all of that. But then this Saturn Uranus, it's so easy to see it when it's happening outside, but then it's also happening inside of us, right? So what happens when you have a friend who says terrible things like something that's pro-Nazi or pro something like that, and maybe it's a subtle comment, maybe they don't realize what they're saying, but they're saying something like that. And so how do you react? How would you react? Like I remember there was a demonstration when I was living in Spain. They wanted to do this demonstration who was pro-Nazi in a way. Like they would never say it was pro-Nazi, but it was like pro all those values. And there was a huge debate whether it should be allowed or not. Because if you believe in freedom of speech, then, well, we should allow it. But then, are we supposed to allow the kind of speech that is actually against freedom of speech? So it's like, it's like, and I think this kind of battle between what we can allow and what we cannot allow, what's the, Saturn Uranus is what's the boundary of freedom? What's the limit that we put to freedom? Which is a paradox, right? I think this is being fought within us. Like, we see it now outside in this event, but I think something within us is also asking, like, where do I put the boundary to freedom? Where my freedom, I feel it's, where do I feel my freedom stops in order to respect other people's freedom? Where other people's freedom stops in order to respect mine? We also had the whole issue the past years about the masks, whether we should wear masks or not in the pandemic, whether everybody should be obliged to get vaccinated or not. So we've been like dealing with this problem, like where does freedom stop and where does it begin? I think it's part of this whole process also,
I think, the one thing is, I think it's definitely related in the astrological view. This incident is definitely related to Saturn-Uranus cycle, because I just checked the chart. His book, the Satanic Verses, was published in 1988, but in 1989, what day is so interesting? It's on Valentine's Day, on 14th of February, 1989, the Iranian leader called for his death because they find a book is a sacrilegious. So, that was a historical thing. And what happened in 1989? We know that was a Saturn-Uranus conjunction that time.
Yeah,
and that
was the beginning of the cycle.
And then was the beginning of the cycle, and now it's come to a square. So this is how we learn astrology. Doesn't in one way mundane astrology, in another way it has impact on personal. So this is I mean definitely related to this, like you mean from the meaning of the Saturn and the Uranus freedom and the authority or the protection. In another way is are we all allowed to say whatever I want to say without limited? This is very, very arguable, and not people debating on this, because if someone says something to threaten your freedom, to destroy the value you value, like for example, he says something trying to destroy a democratic system, or trying to say something to destroy your freedom of speech. He used the freedom against the freedom, and I mean, well. We have to think about it. I don't want to say it should allow or it should not allow. I think everyone should have an intelligence to, judge.
I think so too. And I think the problem with this, when these planets are so strong and so different from one another, and they meet, an aspect is like a dialogue. It's like they are meeting to have this dialogue, and it's square. It's not an easy dialogue. I think it's so easy to be polarized. I think it's so easy to fall. There's this psychological process. I think it's something that's happening now. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know somebody said this. I don't remember who said this, but there's been for a while this psychological tendency to simplify things in order to find a quick solution for everything, right? So the quick solution would be either, okay, we allow it or not. It's like the quick solution. I think it's so easy to be polarized, because it's so, like you were saying, it's so easy to stand now on the side of Salman Rushdie. I mean, I think it's really wrong what happened to him. And I wish nobody had to go through this because of what you're saying. I mean, I haven't read the book. I'm not sure exactly what the book says. But my hunch is that, come on, probably it was not that bad. He was allowed to say that, right? And what happened, I think it's really like to get stabbed because of, I don't know, I think it's horrible, right? And I think it's so easy. So it's so easy to be polarized and to just see one side of the picture and stand on one side, right? And again, we can, especially when it's something external, but I think the question is when we go inside within ourselves, where we are being polarized in our everyday life, like with our friends, with our family, with our work, and how are we falling in this tension between order and freedom and control and eccentricity, I don't know how to call it. because probably within our relationships we're also taking a stand, and probably we're quite unconscious. We fall onto one side of the equation. And again, in some situations it seems so easy because it's so, it's like it's a gut feeling, right? I read this news and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. It's so easy to choose a side, and I think it's dangerous to do that because we are simplifying the question.
Yes, yes, honestly, yes, I agree with you. This is the one big situation, one big phenomenon in the modern society, in nowadays situation, is that we simplify the information and the judge very quickly by that simplified answer, and to choose the side, and refuse to listen other people's voice. I mean, sometimes it's unbearable, but I think that is like this really awakening call to remind us, to be more open-minded and to listen what other people say. Because let's come to the transit nowadays, like for this week and next week, for coming week. We have a very important movement going to happen. Is Mars move into Gemini. You say, like, what? Are you kidding me? Mars move into Gemini. Why is it so important, Alejo? Why? Tell us why this.
Because he's going to stay there for ages. He stays there until, what is it, until March or something like that.
March, yes, March of 2023. Usually, okay, if you are a beginner, okay, usually Mars moves kind of like a half degree a day. So for moving aside is about 2 months-ish. But this time, because Mars moving into Gemini and will retrograde in Gemini, and after retrograde, you'll move again. So we'll continue in Gemini for, 8 months in Gemini. And we all know what Gemini is about.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's about words, intellect, and communication, and the message you convey. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, from this Saturday, it moved into Gemini. This Saturday, it moved into Gemini. So from that on, that means it gives an idea to us. It's like, wow, we are maybe going to witness more and more this kind of argue.
I mean, I hope what it means is that if somebody wants to argue with a writer, for instance, they will argue in a rational, intellectual way, and not with a knife. I hope maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that Mars will stay in Gemini for so long. I mean, Gemini is versatile, is adaptable, is flexible. Maybe what's going to happen is that we're going to be more willing to dialogue about our impulses, our drives, our ideas. I'm not sure. I've checked that when Mars is going to Gemini, Mercury is going to be right opposite Neptune. So I'm not sure if we're actually going to be like super confused about it. I mean, we have no idea what we want, what we think, and how to express our things, and we just want to take it out there. I don't know. And we start like, maybe we will have a lot of discussions like Mars in Gemini, but with Mercury opposing Neptune, like it's like we're speaking different languages. We cannot really understand what each one is saying. Or the opposite. Maybe we're actually very open to empathy, and we'll have.
Yeah. I agree. This is how we see the astrology. They always bring the different potential. It's not just one way. Like when we explain or we delineate the Mercury opposite Neptune, it's not just one way that everyone going to lie or people are going to get confused. Another way, another possibility is maybe we're going to learn the more inclusive, because Neptune is allowed the things, to be open, to take things in. So maybe we learn to be more inclusive, more open-minded, to respect other people's voice, or to be what we call the word emphasize, right? To step into other people's shoes, to understand why you saying this. Why you saying this? Why? And that is maybe, that is a learning process, but it's possible. It's a way we can do. I think that is the one way we can learn. Or, yes, like you say, it could be confusion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other interesting thing regarding what you are saying is that I've checked that also. So for the people who are learning, so Mars is going to go into Gemini, and what I'm doing is to see how the planets are organized at the moment that he enters. Because in astrology, we believe that beginnings tell us how things are going to progress, right? So this doesn't mean that Mercury is going to be opposite Neptune the whole time that Mars is in Gemini. But because he's going to be in this opposition when Mars first enters Gemini, I think this might flavor the whole transition through Gemini. I don't know. It's a hypothesis. And at the same time that this is happening, the moon is also in Gemini. When Mars goes into Gemini, the moon is also in Gemini. And it's going to be sextile in the sun. So it's moon sextile sun. And they're going to be in quincunx to Pluto. So this is a yod, the finger of God.
Yes.
And it's like the finger of God's like you're fated to develop the planet that it has the yod, the quincunx. So I think there is something about what you're saying. Pluto, like the idea of unveiling, taking out from the darkness what's hiding behind what we say. So it's like we tend to, Mercury is always close to the sun, and we tend to associate who people are to what people say, right?
Yeah.
And I think this Mars in Gemini is asking us to see beyond, like you were saying, with this Pluto there as the apex of the yod. It's telling us, okay, see beyond that. See who people really are, beyond what they say. Because what they say may not be the whole thing of what they are. Maybe fueled by a lot of, maybe nurtured by a lot of situations around them, which is not who they truly are. I mean, a lot of times we say things we don't mean and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we read things that we go back to things we said and we're like, how did I say that if I don't believe these kinds of things? So it's like, I think there is a process of trying to go beyond the surface.
Yeah. But I agree. And I think this is the, when we see this kind of quincunx, when you mentioned about quincunx, it is not easy aspect to deal with or to practice with. But there is a theme of the quincunx is called adopted. Or we kind of adopt, we kind of learn to adopt. We kind of try to adopt the situation rather than say, no, I'm right, you are wrong, bang, like this, slapping your face or something. No, you learn to, in another word, I don't like the word, but cope with it, or you learn to live with it, or you learn how to, how to live with that situation. And because, this world is full of different people. There are some people you really love, there are some people you really couldn't cope them, but they also have a right to live. So that is uncomfortable about the quincunx that you learn to adopt.
Yeah, exactly. And also I would say, like, there's always something behind what people say. Like, people say something and there's a reason they're saying that. Maybe a feeling, maybe a history they have, maybe something that is happening to them at the moment. So it's like, don't just listen to the words. Try to see, even though it's hard what you're saying, even though it's hard, try to unpack them. Where is this coming from? What is it? What is this saying?
That is a very, very interesting discussion because of course, if we only see chart and astrology can always be simplified. That's what we face, what professional astrologer face every day. It's like, I'm Gemini, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
Mars moving into Gemini, what's going to happen? Am I going to die or something, this and that? To be honest, things are not that simple. So if we keep simplifying the information, and we may have this something important behind that meaning, behind the whole situation. Astrology is the same. When we see Mars move into Gemini, yes, there is a tension there, and there is a potential to be more argument because the Mars is about a fight and Gemini is about the language. Yes, that's right. But at the same time, there's other configuration in the chart, and we need to unpack it. We need to see through it, and that really will help us, one way, understand astrology more, another way to understand each other more. I think that is, very
I agree.
Meaning. Yeah.
And then to see, like, like we're talking about, this is the beginning of the process, and we feel that the beginning has the seed of what's going to happen. But also, to be honest, okay, this is going to be Mars is staying there for many months, so we should also follow the progress of it. And I would say, like, again, to take it back to a personal situation, go back to your chart, see what you have in Gemini, see what you have in Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, and try to track it. Because what you were saying, Mars usually spends 2 months in a sign, right? So when it goes through a planet, it gives you power for that planet. It's like a week, maybe you have an extra drive on the matters of that planet. This time, maybe, if it's touching some personal point, it's going to fuel that point for a longer period of time, probably. If it's retrograding and it's touching, and it's making an aspect, the personal aspect to one planet in your chart, it might do it for a long time. So this may be a moment where you feel threatened, like happened to, like, actually Salman Rushdie, this didn't happen. He has a lot of planets in Gemini, so I don't know what's going to happen.
And also the end of Gemini, he got a Uranus 22-degree Gemini, Moon in 20, I think 26. He was born in new moon. So
it was one moon.
Sun moon both in 26 Gemini. With the Mars at this moment was no, not there. So, Mars is kind of a semi-sextile there.
Mars is semi-sextile now there, but Uranus is going on his Mars.
Yeah.
And his Mars is opposite Jupiter, so it's like the warrior for ideology. It's an ideology that's against him. Yeah. But going back to what I meant is like, okay, look at your chart, and Mars is going to be touching whatever you have in Gemini, in Sagittarius, Virgo, or Pisces. You can track it down, of course. You can look at the degrees and try to make it like look when it's maybe 1 or 2 degrees before it makes the aspect, and then 1 or 2 degrees after. And you know that through that period, that planet is going to get a lot of energy from this Mars. And this might mean that you might feel attacked with that planet, to that planet, or maybe the other way around. Maybe you're going to feel you have a lot of strength and force to put that planet out there, right? But probably something is going to happen with the issues related to that planet. So I think it's like, okay, like take it to a personal level, because on a personal level, you may have to intellectualize your drives in regarding that planet. You may have to think and reflect on why this planet is pulling you to do certain things or not some other things, and these kinds of things. So you can apply this to your own life.
That is very important information for our audience, because you may not going to get attacked. And one way in astrology, in modern astrology, we believe is how you fulfill your chart and how you unfold that, how you do. It's not about what happened to you. It's not only about that. It's also about how you're going to apply this in your life. So Alejo give a very important information. If you have the planet around this kind of Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces, this mutable sign, because the Mars moving into Gemini is going to touch, it's going to form an aspect, especially hard aspect with this sign, and then not only just waiting to be attacked. You also I like the word you say. You use a field. You use it to add the energy, to push the energy into your life, to see what planet you are, like for example, use my own example. I have a Saturn in a Gemini, so that could be, that if I talk in a very negative way, I would say, I must going to bump into a lot of frustration, but I can apply certain things. What I want to be achieved, what I working really hard, that's Saturn. What I really take serious, then I can add a feel to it, especially the difficult topic or challenging topic, because why? That's a Saturn flavor. I bring the challenge to myself, and I'm willing to do it. And maybe that will still bring the frustration, but hey, you choose it. And you say, are you crazy? Why you choose this? Hey, if you don't do that, other things could happen too,
I mean, Mars is going to be there. I mean, what I would say also is, I think your question, what you were saying is very interesting. Like, you're probably not going to be attacked. Like, hopefully, not all of us are going to be starved. Thank God.
Hope not.
Yes. So the thing is, okay, let's think of a battle, but let's make it more symbolic. Like, what kind of battle is this planet, whatever planet Mars is going to touch?
Perfect,
what kind of battle is this planet doing? And how can you support your planet in this battle? But it's not necessarily a battle with someone out there. It's like your inner battle, your inner war.
Or you're conquered, or
yeah, something like that. Yes.
You're trying to, because Mars love conquer something. I want to take something down. I want to win
exactly.
Something. I want to
Yes.
Something. Yeah. So give yourself a prize. Give yourself a task to challenge with, to play with, and use the planet, the planet in the mutable sign in your natal chart to apply on it. You can really act. You can really live in this astrology chart, and that make more meaningful. About the Mars stay in Gemini for next 18 months.
I was only allowed to use bad words when we were doing the Scorpio podcast.
I know.
I used it 3 times.
I remember.
Once I was free to use the F word, I used it 3 times.
Okay, for our audience, if you don't know what we're talking about, go to our AOAUK 1 YouTube channel and look at 10 minutes astrology when me and Alejo talking about the planet in Scorpio. We were a little bit over that episode. We keep using the F word in that episode. But it's fun. Alejo is always interesting and learning and very educational to work with you, to discuss astrology with you, and that's always joy. And
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks everyone. Our next episode of Astro Live on Instagram will be on the 24th of August, and same time, 5 p.m. UK time. And I invited our friend Isabel, a very great astrologer from Poland, and we will bring the weekly transit and choose a current affair topic to talk about it. So stay tuned. Don't forget, next Wednesday, 5 p.m. UK time, me and Isabel will be online. Okay, and thank you, Alejo. So I know you bring more people to this channel, but I still want to say, your Instagram is.
My Instagram is Liminal Cosmos, but I think people can see it. I don't know.
I know, yeah. So please, if you don't know about Alejo, I think everyone knows Alejo. So please add it in. He always posts something very interesting, okay? But thank you, and remember to apply your Mars in Gemini themes, okay?
Yes.
Stay tuned. Bye!
Bye-bye.